Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to my channel. So if you're new here, I want to welcome you with open arms. Hopefully you've stumbled across my channel because you're an artist and you want to learn. If you do not draw and you have no idea why the YouTube algorithm brought you here, hopefully you can stick around because today I'm going to be teaching you how to not only draw some cosmic horror, but add in a little bit of machinery to it. Okay, so as you can see here, I have two tentacles and what appears to be the beginning of a mouth. So grab your pencils, grab your sketchbooks, your pens. Let's see if we can doodle something together while adding some machine parts to it. I get asked a lot, hey, can you do mechs? Can you do robots? And while I have touched base with that before, I never really gave a full-blown lesson on how I do metal plating and machine parts mixed in with organics. Now, I will say I am a massive fan of the Doom universe. I've always loved the Doom games. And one thing that they do very well is they mix in organics with machine parts. Of course, you got the demons and you have the machines and all the wirings and everything. Just really awesome designs. Love it. So I thought, hey, let's just keep things simple and show you guys how I would start a sketch like that if I had to do some kind of Lovecraftian demonic cosmic horror entity. That was a very long title. And where I would put the machine parts to begin with. Now, you do not have to be an expert mechanic. You don't have to work at a factory. You don't have to be an engineer to at least make these parts on the creature look believable. What I'm doing here is I am slowly but surely adding in some light form lines of what could be a machine part later on. Now, whenever you do machine parts, you always have to think about articulation. How is the creature going to be able to move, and is it going to be functional? Me, coming from a concept art background, because I do creatures for games and movies, I always have to think about, hey, is the 3D department going to love me or hate me because of what I designed? Are they going to be able to rig the model? And is there going to be any clipping involved? So you want to erase any doubt in their minds about these things actually happening. If you're not familiar with what I mean by clipping, it means that if something's animated and two parts of the character or weapon or whatever touch, is that going to be clipping? Is it going to cause weird disruptions in the animation and everything? Okay, let's start with this right here. So the front part isn't really defined yet. It looks like I have three small tubes coming out of what would appear to be the face or the head. It might not even have teeth, I don't know. Up here, prime real estate for a machine part. So let's put in some plating. Very loosely, I'm going to make some fast lines, quick lines. You see where the ends of the tentacles are and how I circled them off? It's because these tentacles are acting like tubes. They're flexible. Think of like a slinky or something along those lines. They're coming from this big brain, I guess you can call it. Right in here, where the tentacles would be coming out of that said brain, there needs to be an opening so that those parts can come out of it. Think of it as you're taking tentacles and it has a little attachment to a toy. Okay, and you need to attach it to the toy. Well, how are they going to attach? You're going to put it inside that shell, and then what I like to do is just hint at some shadow. There we go, something like this. See how I'm shading with the pen? Very lightly. I'm barely applying any pressure inside there. I'm holding the pen to the side so that if I go straight down, I'm not going, it's not going to bleed. No ink is going to come out in blotches. Instead, I'm just holding it to the side. Next thing you can do is look underneath the tentacles. So if you're drawing along with me right now, draw the ends of the tentacles as if a machine put this critter together in some kind of cosmic factory. How would the top and the bottom of this overall body be clamped together with the tubes coming out of the side? Those are the types of openings you need to think of. And actually, for those of you out there that are character concept artists, the same rules apply when you're thinking of armor on one of your characters. And maybe not necessarily cyberpunk or cosmic, horror or whatever. Maybe you're not even doing a space marine. Maybe it's just a typical pauldron of some sort. Okay, so let's say you're doing high fantasy and your mage has a sword and a huge hulking arm. Okay, how would that arm come out of the the shoulder piece? So notice what I'm doing here. I'm getting really dark on the tentacled line. That's because that area is where the least amount of light is touching. And then the shadow, which is lighter right above it, think of it as a wheel well in a car. Okay, if you're not familiar with a wheel well is, it's where the tire sits inside the frame of your car. Okay, that's where the mud flaps are basically. It's what catches all the dirt and everything. And think of it like that, so it's like a two-piecer. Okay, I'm going to leave that because this is just a thumbnail, everybody. I'm not emotionally committing to this design. I'm thinking of this abstractly. I'm thinking of it objectively, thinking that, hey, maybe this isn't going to be the final design. How else can I help myself when thinking of something crazy? Okay, now, everything up here, there's a lot of real estate. So I like to be a little bit unpredictable. And even though I had this original brain shape, I'm putting a hump up here that's slightly higher than the other one, almost like a bubble. Now, the first thing that I'm thinking of is, well, what if there's like a little alien inside there, or like a little brain? Yes, that could be it. However, let's get a little crazier. What would that look like if it was a compartment that held more wiring? So I'm just going to open up a little slit right in here, and then maybe put some lines in that are going at different angles. And then I'm just going to keep it there, and then maybe put another slit right there in front. So it's almost like following this round shape. I don't know if this is going to be successful, but we'll see. Okay, so I don't know if I like that too much, but I'm also not considering it a mistake. I'm just going to keep going and see what happens. Now, the next thing that you should do, if you want a really good looking machine part, then the tentacles themselves can be coiled. So think of them at, like what I said earlier, a slinky, but think of them as pieces of metal that are flexible and that can move. Okay, so you follow your all the way down the tentacle. See how much slower I'm being with this? It's just so you guys can understand what's happening around there. So there's two tentacles over here, and I drew one over there. So this one, okay, I have to make sure that since this is set lower, like if this was the face, I have to make this come out lower. This is why you draw lightly, folks. And then this one, I'm just going to hint at it being there. And then maybe it's bent up like this. So we're not even worried too much about those tentacles in the back. Let's see what we can do up here in the front. Now I'm going half organic, half machine, which means that the machine parts are going to have a more rounded and chaotic feel to them rather than pure hard sci-fi, hard surface look. Think of the machine parts as like old World War II poured metal shapes, like on tanks and submarines and the different machinery back then. I just think it would look cooler. Okay, this isn't complete without maybe some indication of teeth down here. Oh, this is so much fun, everybody. Just add in random teeth and an opening. Who's to say that that's not going to be the mouth? I'm just going to stretch some skin where it looks like it's going to be fused together with the machine part. Okay, so maybe that's what happened in its own world. Maybe its creators mixed in machine parts and You got some organics in there, similar to what I was saying with Doom characters. But they all work together. And somehow, some way, they're all alive. Let's do that. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm thinking that maybe we can have this brain shape come out to our right. I'm not going to get too large with this creature because, one, I don't even know what it is, but two, I want to make sure that it fits inside your picture frame here. All right, so much fun. I'm just going to put in a little bit of shading down here. When I say shading, and I'm using a ballpoint pen, everything is going one direction. So I'm just going up and down, up and down, up and down, keeping the strokes close together. And I'm not pressing hard. Now, why did I shade in that little crevice right there? It's because that part of the mouth, or whatever the part that is going underneath all of the tentacles. So there's going to be some cast shadows down there. Matter of fact, speaking of shadows, I need to color this in. Another cool thing that you can do to add machine parts, if you have a big open area in your designs, that's where the biggest pieces of metal usually exist. So let's say there's a big plate right there. Now with the plates, I like to do straighter lines. I'm just going to do that, and I'm just going to bring all these shapes together. So it's going to feel organic and feel a little alive at the same time, or hard surface at the same time. I'm not sure I like that extra hump that I gave it on top there, so luckily I drew lightly because I can just start putting in some lines going back there and maybe draw over what I do not like. Hey, it happens sometimes. If you've survived this far in our little drawing adventure this morning, comment below and let me know what you're working on, and if you are coming across specific struggles that you're not really confident about overtaking. Okay, I do try to read all comments. If it seems like I'm ignoring you and you just get a heart from me, please know that I acknowledged your questions. Sometimes you guys write me novels and I can't answer all of them. But please DM me on our Discord, Creature Design Workshop Discord. Okay, the link is in the description below for that. I'd be happy to do that. And we got tons of people there that are industry vets too that'll help you out with specific questions. And also, the other thing that I would like to mention, if you're finding this lesson helpful and you're really curious about creature design and you want to push your skills to the next level and you want to find out what it's like working in this industry, I opened a Patreon. You can check the link in the description below for that. It's the first link. We go into deeper dives about my client work, how I maneuver through client briefs and reference gathering, and how I handle bigger projects too. We got live streams and a bunch of other goodies and freebies too. And you can join the Patreon for free also, so there's something for everybody. So check the links in the description for those things, and good luck with your drawing. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm putting some small little details on top of what would appear to be biomechanoid shapes. That's the term that I didn't use, biomechanoid. Let's just do that. Why not? Biomechanoid stuff is so much fun. It's like you get to be organic, you get to be really freaky at the same time. There's not a lot of detail that I'm going to show inside that mouth, but instead, if I want to hint at a crevice or something opened up inside there, I think I'll just put in some shading with the pen. Rule of thumb, everybody, if you draw teeth and you draw the outside of it, you do outline it, please put some shadows, but do not shade over the teeth yet, especially with the pen. So what that does is it helps separate the shadows of the inside of the mouth with the different material that is made up of the teeth. So that way it doesn't all become gelled together in a mess. Okay, eventually, depending on the light source and what's going to have to happen, like if the light's coming from above, you're going to have to put those teeth in shadow anyway. But it's better to have the darkest dark in there first, so you know not to get that dark again. Make it easy for yourselves, guys. See the black that I'm putting in here with my pen? It's not going to get any darker than that on that part. Instead, I can shade around it lightly, and that way I can see some values really being built up. So a lot of fun. Okay, we're not done yet, everybody. Right now, we can probably put the bottom of this critter as like a really disgusting blob. Almost like a flying mess of tentacles and what appear to be seaweed and maybe some machine parts. So see this tentacle right here, this really strange looking hook or this horn? I'm just going to draw a big manufactured machine piece that's going to house that. And I won't put any other organics inside that. I'm going to leave that as the white of the paper. But what I am going to do is I'm going to squeeze and stretch some skin around that portion to make it look like it was augmented together. You're like, maybe this creature was put together painfully. Maybe it really was just all organic and they just decided to juxtapose all this stuff and augment it together, and this poor thing just is flying around as like this painful entity. I don't know. This is the kind of stuff that goes through my brain as I'm making this weird stuff up. Like the back here, I don't know what that is. Let's figure out what that is together. Okay, let's put some lines in here and let's see if we can make things hang off. See how I'm just scribbling the rest of the shapes in? That's because I am non-committal to any one shape back there. Instead, all the lines that are intersecting right this second, I'm letting happen without overthinking it. I do read the comments, and I especially sympathize with those that, from people that say that they can't even scribble without knowing what they're going to scribble. That right there, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're not supposed to know what you're going to scribble. Even if you have years of experience and you study a lot of anatomy, none of these shapes, I'm not predetermining that this is going to look like a ferret or some kind of lizard or some kind of creature that I've seen before. No, it's just lines going together. Easier said than done, of course. I'm not saying that you should get this overnight, but just take a deep breath, everybody. If you're getting frustrated with the way you draw and you feel like you can't think up of anything on the fly, it's just because you haven't seen enough stuff yet. You got to study references, study animals. Pick one animal per week, okay? Just like, or one species even. Like, hey, this week I'm going to study bearded dragons, okay, the lizard. Next week, I'm going to study big cats. And then the following week, let's go possums, okay? It doesn't matter, kangaroo rats. Just practice by drawing the skeletons, practice by drawing the muscle groups on top of the skeletons. This is something that I'm telling all my mentees to do, those that are interested in creature design. It really, really helps. All right, so you can see how these machine parts are being augmented together. This is where it gets to be so much fun. Another thing that I like to do is if there is a large joint, so let's say this would appear to be like a giant shoulder down here, I like to put tubing from those large parts flowing into the rest of the body to act like it's feeding it, I don't know, not transmission fluid, but liquid. Whatever fuels these things, whatever kind of liquid is coursing through their bodies to help them function, that is what I like to put, making it attached. So think of these giant cosmic horrors as tiny little manufacturing plants. Okay, if it has poison, where is the poison housed? How is it shot out? Or how does this creature sting? Or how does your creature sting? And where are the poison sacs? How are they made? that kind of thing. Okay. See, folks, so much fun drawing these. I hope you're having fun too. Well, it sounds like there's some construction going on outside. You might hear like a car backing up. Okay, you see how I'm adding in the opening to where the tentacle can grow out of or is attached to? That's what I want. Another cool thing to do if you want to break up the monotony of certain spaces, or if the spaces are a little too big, then you can do sectional lines. What I like doing is I like breaking up large areas by sectional lines and putting in little dots. These little dots represent nails or screws, or, you know, this is more old school, so maybe if it's high tech, you won't see nails anymore. But think of it as like a clunky type of technology. Okay, think of, you know, District 9, Elysium, those types of movies where you can see clunkiness, but it still works. Even Star Wars. All right. Oh, the other thing is, you see what I'm doing here when I'm adding in these little shadows and a darker outline to the hard surface machine parts? That's because I want to be able to differentiate where the machine stops and where the skin starts. Okay, and seeing that separation really helps. So now I'm getting a sense that, oh, okay, so maybe the whole side of this creature is a machine, or maybe this thing is like a giant helmet. See that little section line I'm adding across there? I think that'd be kind of a neat touch. And then maybe add one down there, and maybe it has a chin piece. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is a lot of fun. And also, Lovecraftian horror is just so much fun to do in general. All right, if you know of any good cosmic horror movies, I mention these sometimes, you know, The Void, Outwaters, Event Horizon, that type of stuff. Please comment below. What have you seen that doesn't get a lot of credit? There we go. Okay. Wow. This was a fun lesson today. I hope that, well, this was a fun sketch to do. I hope that you guys got some value out of this. You don't need a ton of detail to make these things really pop, but what you do need is to make sure that your joints, even if it's biomechanoid and organic, make sure that the joints are believable and that you're showing articulation with all of the body parts. Always imagine these things needing to be manufactured and put together. How would it move? Maybe the brain is up there. Who knows? Well, what a weird sketch, man. One of the weirder ones that I've drawn, that's for sure. So I think on top of these tentacles, I'm just going to put little details to really help the designs sing. Okay, there we go. I'm not going overboard, but I'm also trying to be a little symmetrical too. Make it look purposeful. Okay, now that we got the majority of the shapes that we want in here, I'm just kind of playing around with what would appear to be the skin and making sure that this is looking good against the machine parts. So if you ever do skin, especially with a ballpoint pen, just make sure that all the little tiny wrinkles are kept very light. Think about how the skin would need to stretch over specific body parts. For example, the teeth that I have right here, the gums are right under it. So that means that the skin would probably be able to stretch away from it and down the chin. How far down does that go? Well, until you come to a new direction. Okay, another way to look at it, look in nature. Look at how your dog fur is growing. Okay, your cat fur or any kind of hair on an animal. What direction does that hair need to travel to cover that specific body part? It grows differently on the snout and the muzzle than it does on the shoulder going down to the elbow. All right, so we need to think about how that skin would do that. Now there's some T-thread in here that still need better touches. So I'm just going to take my pen and I'm going to shade in between each tooth. Man, this is where ballpoint pens really come in handy, because even if you have a super sharp pencil, the lead does get flattened and it takes up more of an area than you wish. So pinpointing it isn't good unless it's super sharp all the time. Another thing I would do, just to kind of bring this to life and ground it, is I would start shading on the far edges of the creature. This is the core shadow. Okay, and even though this is pen, you can at least put in some kind of value. I'm actually having the tip of the pen come in contact with it more than the ink. I can feel it too. Alright, and then some shadows, maybe some single hatching. I really want those areas to stand out. Once I have this, I can probably put in some more shadows on that machine part. Put in this chamfer right here. I mean, in layman's terms, a chamfer is basically a shelf. So you have like the surface going across here, it stops, there's a wall that slants down, and then you have the inside. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Chamfers are a lot of fun, especially if you're into vehicle design, which I was back in the day. That's how I learned about chamfers and just hard surface and stuff. Now I'm going to be putting in some very light tentacles coming out at us the other direction. Well, it's not coming out at us, but it's kind of floating in space there. It's just atmospheric perspective showing that some of these tentacles are growing on the other side. And that's all we need. Honestly, I probably bent this one the wrong way. I would have come out this way. But you know what? You live and you learn, right? Can't do everything perfectly. That's the thing about concept art. Like, we're not perfect. Our drawings are never perfect. But we're here to learn. I still make mistakes. I still own up to them. And those of you listening right now, if you really want to grow and you really want to become a concept artist, you have to embrace change and embrace mistakes, because they're going to happen. I want to keep the tentacle not shaded. So I'm putting in some values around the tentacle, which are on the skin. And notice how that's helping the tentacle pop out. So the tentacle itself is probably going to have a soft cast shadow. So I'll be able to press just a little harder as I come closer to the actual tentacle coming out. The closer the shadow is to the subject matter, then the harder the shadow is going to look. Alright, same thing with up here. But everything over here is faded out, so I don't need to worry about it that much. Alright, I could probably put in some weird plating down here on the chin, maybe some metal parts. Add some thickness to the actual metal to make it look like it was built on top of and attached to an organic surface. So I'm just going to darken up that line so you can definitely see the separation of machine and skin. And then what I'll do is I'll put in some shading in between that. Very light, everybody. Very, very light. Single directional hatching. I'm going to cover up that machine part here, so I'm just going to put some cool little openings. There you have it, folks. You can stay on this for another 3 hours. So let me know what you do. Post it on our Discord. I love seeing this stuff. If you're interested in my Patreon and really want to learn how to mix muscles and learn about all my secret practices of creature design, who my favorite methods are, join my Patreon. I got a couple tiers that may be at your liking, or if you just want to hang out for a while and join for free, you can do that too. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching this. Hopefully you learned something, and just remember, have fun with this, draw lightly at first, build your values up, and accept the fact that whatever you're putting down may not be your best design. There's always something better that you could be doing. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.